つもゆうちゃんがいたからすごく辛いです。
Regardless of where you live, the darkness of night shouldn't be underestimated. You never know what could be lurking in the shadows or waiting around the next dimly lit corner. While most people who venture out at such late hours return home safely, occasionally through no fault of their own, one finds themselves in the wrong place at the wrong time. This is the true unsolved story of Yuko Kitayama. This story is going to be a rather frustrating one for reasons you will soon discover, but it is still interesting to learn about and something we can draw lessons from. If you're a returning viewer or someone new to the channel, welcome. I make videos on Japanese cases, strange, solved and unsolved. If that sounds like something you think you'll find interesting, please consider subscribing and turning on notifications. It really helps the channel grow. Also, check out my other videos if you haven't already. I'm sure you'll find something new to watch. In any case, let's get on with the video. Unfortunately, very little is known about then 17-year-old Yuko Kitayama, but from what I have read, she seems to be a nice girl. She was a third-year high school student at Matsusaka Technical High School in Matsusaka, Mie Prefecture, Japan, and thanks to her friendly, positive personality, she was quite popular and had a large group of friends, as well as a loving family. Yuko was also a very hard-working, bright person. She often studied late into the night for her classes and exams, all while holding a grueling part-time job at a local cram school. And it is at this cram school where the ill-fated incident began. At around 8:10 PM on the 13th of June 1997, Yuko finished her part-time job at the aforementioned cram school, where she graded the students' tests. Students study hard at this time every year in Japan, so she worked later than usual on this particular day. Yuko's younger brother attended the place as a student, so once Yuko finished her work, their mother would drive down and pick them both up. Usually, the mother would come in a light van so that Yuko could put her bike in the back and ride inside the vehicle, but by chance on this particular day, it had run out of fuel, so the mother drove the small family car instead. However, this didn't matter, as Yuko had other plans anyway. Since it was the midterm exam season, she planned to go to a friend's house so that they could study together. After telling her mother her plans, she rode away on her bicycle down a dark, narrow street. Sadly, this was the last time her mother ever saw her. Just before 8:30 PM, Yuko stopped off at a public payphone and called her close friend named Maki, where she said, "It's a little late, but I'm coming now. I will arrive in about 10 minutes. Before setting off, however, she exchanged some messages with her other friends using her pager, or pocket bell as it's known in Japanese. And again, she rode off into the night. Maki waited for Yuko to arrive, but she didn't show up at the appointed time. Since they planned to study together at Yuko's house after meeting, Maki waited outside her own home on her bike just before 9 PM, hoping she could spot Yuko coming. But she failed to arrive, even after Maki waited for around 40 minutes. Worried that something had happened, Maki went to a nearby supermarket known as Frex, hoping to meet her there instead. She used the public telephone box to send many messages to Yuko's pager, telling Yuko that she was at the supermarket and asked where she was. But there was no reply. Now Maki really started to worry, and at around 10:30, now almost 2 hours since Yuko was last seen by her mother, Maki called Yuko's parents. Maki informed Yuko's mother that she hadn't arrived and asked if something had happened, but the mother was confused since she believed that Yuko was already at Maki's home.
でも来なかったんですみたいな感じで電話したら家にも帰ってなかったっていうか
Flustered and now very worried, Maki and Yuko's parents frantically searched the area, but they were unable to find anything at all. No items, no bicycle, no Yuko. In the end, at around 2 AM, now the 14th of June 1997, the parents went to the Mie police force to report their daughter missing. Officers got to work immediately, and over the next few days they scoured the area with up to 3,000 searches in total, looking for any clues as to where Yuko could have gone. She wasn't the type to simply run off like this, especially since she made plans and it was the exam season, so authorities suspected foul play was involved. But unfortunately, like her parents, they were also unable to locate any clues at all as to what had happened. But clues would come from an unlikely source, Yuko's friends. As I mentioned previously, Yuko was a popular girl who had a lot of friends. The day after she went missing, they all discussed what they could do to help with the investigation. They, along with many of their classmates, decided to flood Yuko's pager with messages, asking things like where she is, what she is doing, and asking Yuko to contact them. They were careful and agreed not to send personal information to the pager in case someone other than Yuko had it. They sent message after message, but no one ever received a reply. However, one unnamed friend was so worried and desperate to find Yuko, so she sent the pager her telephone number on the 16th of June, now 3 days since Yuko went missing. And when she did, although startled, she picked up the phone and began speaking, asking about Yuko. But there was no response. She thought she could hear breathing on the other end, but still there was no reaction to her. The phone rang again and again over the next 2 days, but the caller did not speak and remained silent. However, on the 18th of June, there was a voice.
Hello.
But it wasn't Yuko. No, it was a man, and from his accent, he sounded local. After the friend asked after Yuko, the man said,
At around 9 PM on the 13th of June, I took her to Myojo train station. I don't know what happened to her after that. I have her pager as collateral because I lent her 50,000 yen in cash.
The friend was puzzled by this answer, but then an even more important proposition came from the unknown man.
I can meet you.
The friend agreed to meet the man on the 20th of June at a local supermarket called Mom. After telling her parents, they informed the police, who would stand watch in the area so that they could apprehend and question the man when he showed up. She waited near the entrance as instructed by the caller, and plainclothed officers hid inside shops and around the side, waiting to pounce. The friend's mother was also there to oversee her daughter, but unfortunately, the man never showed up, leaving everyone frustrated and concerned. This had been their only lead up until this point. Luckily, this wasn't the end though, because another phone call would come on the 25th of June.
I will return the pager. I placed it at Konoe bus stop.
Investigators rushed down to the designated bus stop, and sure enough, Yuko's pager was there. It had been left behind a rubbish bin. Strangely, the Hello Kitty keychain that was attached to the pager was missing, but this was indeed Yuko's pager. 2 days later, another phone call came, and this time the police were at the friend's home to trace the line. They were prepared and determined to catch the man this time.
Did you go and get the pager?
Yes, it was by the bin.
Is that so? Well, in that case...
Wait, don't hang up. Hey, where is Yuko?
The friend was smart and frantically tried to keep the man talking to not only find where Yuko was, but also to try and delay him long enough so that he could be traced and apprehended. It was a success. They managed to trace the call to a local payphone, and 2 officers apprehended a 46-year-old male. Finally, a breakthrough in the case. This man was not a good person, and had guilt written all over him. While he had been working as an assistant to a stallholder, he had only just been released from prison after serving a 12-year sentence for a heinous crime. He callously assaulted and robbed an innocent woman after purposefully hitting her with his car. This brutal modus operandi is relevant here because investigators searched his new minivan and discovered a number of very alarming things about it. On the left bumper and turn signal, there was some damage that the man refused to explain. Since the minivan had only been bought 4 months prior to Yuko's disappearance, it was considered rather odd, especially when the man's neighbors claimed that he frequently washed the minivan and took very good care of it. Could he have repeated his past acts and struck Yuko with his vehicle to fulfill his sick desires? But this, I'm afraid, is only the beginning of the evidence surrounding the vehicle. Inside it was a receipt for the Ise Futami Toba line, a toll road that leads to the Japanese coast. It was dated shortly after Yuko's disappearance. The suspect had no reason to travel to this area and refused to say why he was there so suddenly. Ordinarily, the man would routinely fill up the tank of his vehicle once a week at the same fueling station, but after Yuko's disappearance he did it again on the 15th and 17th, before returning to normal once again. This unexplained, unusual break in routine so soon after the disappearance hinted that he could have travelled far away, abruptly, which was also considered very strange by investigators. I know this is somewhat circumstantial evidence that only seems suspicious, but we have only just begun, because more incriminating things were found inside the man's minivan. Investigators also discovered a Japanese character dictionary, which is a very typical thing for a young student like Yuko to possess. While she couldn't be 100% certain, Yuko's mother said it was the same as her daughter's. Inside the dictionary was a written memo of the friend's phone number that the man had been calling, and it was proven to be the same handwriting as the suspect's. Forensic teams managed to find over 100 strands of hair inside the car that, when analysed through DNA testing, proved to belong to Yuko. Fibers from her clothes were also found. Now investigators were very concerned, especially when they began interviewing locals about the man. One local spotted the minivan very close to the public phone box that Yuko used to call Maki the day she went missing. The witness's description matched the suspect's vehicle, down to the exact model and colour. But something peculiar regarding the minivan came from Yuko herself. In the days before her disappearance, Yuko told her friends that a white minivan had been following behind her recently, and that she was scared. Again, this exactly matched the description of the suspect's vehicle. As for the man himself, there is even more information that points to him being involved. Upon his arrest, he was searched and a handkerchief was found in his pocket. According to the family, it was Yuko's. Not only that, but when officers apprehended him, he was wearing gloves. It was the middle of the humid Japanese summer at the time, so wearing gloves was considered very suspicious, as it indicated he was trying to prevent himself from leaving fingerprints anywhere. There would be no reason for him to wear thick gloves at such a time since the temperature was so high. Speaking of his arrest, the public phone box where he used to talk to the friend was very far away from where he lived and in a discreet area, leading authorities to believe that he specifically chose the phone box to avoid being noticed and recognized. Now, I know all this information is a lot to take in, but we haven't even started with the interview details. First, he had no alibi on the night Yuko went missing, and neither friends nor family knew of his whereabouts at the time. His voice was also confirmed to match perfectly with the caller by both the friend and the policeman listening in. He didn't deny that he possessed Yuko's pager at one point, but although he said on the phone that he received it as collateral, he now claimed under questioning that he picked it up off the street by chance, and once he saw that it belonged to a high school student, he stated that he thought he could use it to get acquainted with girls, which sounds very troubling. Something the police also noticed is that, while he admitted to having the pager at one point, his fingerprints were not discovered on it. Now, if he had innocently picked it up by chance, why did he go to the effort of preventing his fingerprints from being detected? It was also revealed during questioning that just 2 days after Yuko vanished, when news of it was still fresh and relatively unknown by the general population, the suspect went to Yuko's school and began asking other students if they had seen her at the gates. Authorities believe that this was a poorly thought out attempt to create an alibi by pretending to not know what had happened to her. I know that was a lot to go through, but it's important to hear it all because you probably think this is an open and shut case, with both concrete and circumstantial evidence linking him directly to Yuko. It seems like it would be an easy job for law enforcement. Well, you'll soon discover why I warned you that this was a frustrating case. Unfortunately, this man was smart. Very smart. Being an ex-convict, he was extremely familiar with the process and knew how to cheat the system. First, he denied ever meeting Yuko and said he found the pager by chance, as we already discussed. Other than that though, he kept completely quiet. He didn't say a thing to the authorities, despite being confronted with the overwhelming amount of evidence against him. Even when questioned for long hours for days and days, he fully exercised his right to silence. The police tried every trick in the book to get him to confess, but he wouldn't say a word after giving his initial statements. But he did more than that. He also hired a human rights lawyer. You see, this man wanted to spin the narrative and claim that he was only arrested due to his criminal record and upbringing. He pushed back with the claim that his previous conviction had led the authorities to have a biased opinion against him, and that they were using it to convince the country that he was responsible. He and his lawyer challenged the authorities, saying that they couldn't convict him for a crime because Yuko hadn't been found, so they had no idea if she was safe or not. They claimed that no evidence had been found which pointed towards foul play. But the man had something else that he and his lawyer used as a tool to challenge the system. He was a burakumin. I won't go into too much detail since it's not the topic of the video, but burakumin, or Hamlet people, are a group of Japanese members of society who were cruelly forced to live as outcasts during the Edo period for holding employment that was considered unclean, such as executioners, tanners, butchers, slaughterhouse workers, and undertakers. Despite doing essential jobs and being normal, hard-working people, they were severely and unjustly discriminated against, becoming a caste that was ostracized from the general Japanese population. While this harsh discrimination has fortunately ended for the most part, stereotypical attitudes persevered until the early 2000s. I suggest you read up about it more yourself if you're interested. Because of these stereotypes, there have been many incidences of police discrimination against burakumin in the past, even some famous cases that put innocent people behind bars just because they belong to this social class. While this is not the case here, given the amount of evidence, the lawyer used this to his advantage and claimed that his client was being treated unfairly due to his lineage. Fearing that this could cause a scandal if the media interpreted things this way, coupled with the reality that Yuko indeed couldn't be located to prove foul play, the man was let go on the 8th of July 1996, the reason being insufficient evidence to incriminate. Since the authorities couldn't conclude 100% that the man was responsible for something sinister, he walked away free, and free is how he remains to this day. And with that, the investigation pretty much ground to a halt. Other leads were explored, but it was obvious to everyone who was responsible for this, so things pretty much stopped from that point. The poor family begged the police to arrest the man, but they refused, and he was never convicted. They did say that they would keep him under surveillance after his release because he was a person of interest, but it is unclear how long this went on for. Now he must be in his 70s. Yuko's family have worked and are still working diligently to find her. Every year they distribute leaflets and posters hoping that someone comes forward with information. Some of Yuko's friends, like Maki, even now after more than 25 years, support the family in raising awareness of the case. As always, I am amazed with how incredible these people are in their pursuit for truth and closure. I hope that someday they can finally get to the bottom of what happened to Yuko and live the rest of their lives in peace. And if this man is responsible, which looks to be the case, I hope he does the right thing one day, confesses to the family, and begs for forgiveness. Thank you for watching my 30th YouTube video. If you liked it, feel free to give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you wish to see more videos like this about Japan. Yuko seemed like such a nice girl with a bright future ahead of her, so to learn that that had been taken away from her is really sad. While I think we all know what happened, there is always a chance for something different. What's surprising about this case is the actions of the Japanese police. Usually they are rather strict with suspects and submit them to harsh treatment even if there is no evidence available, but here it seems to be the opposite. I wonder what information is being hidden from us, but like I said, the man and the lawyer were rather cunning. Anyway, that's enough from me. Until next time, goodbye.